And at the end of the spar, Mike said, Joe Egan is the toughest white man on the planet. Far, far, far from it. I was the toughest white man in the gym that day. I could take a beating, George. I could take savage beatings. You know, I've took beatings all my life, mostly from the bullies growing up.
What's the crack here then with John Fury?
It has to happen. And I think he conducts himself like a bully.
Welcome to the George Groves Boxing Club. I'm George Groves, this is Dec, and today we are joined by an actor, a speaker,
boxer?
An actor, a speaker, a retired heavyweight boxer, and once dubbed by Iron Mike Tyson as the toughest white man on the planet. It's Joe Egan. Joe, thanks so much for coming on the show, mate. Thanks for joining the club.
George, it's a pleasure, pal. I'm a big fan of yours. You achieved what every fighter dreams of achieving, winning world titles. Every fighter that climbs into the ring dreams about becoming a champion of the world. You became that champion of the world, and you're in some incredible fights. I'm a massive fan of yours.
Oh, you're sweet.
No, I am.
That's the first person who's ever come in and said that.
Yeah.
I got the honour and the privilege to do a dinner with you in Hull. Yeah, I shared the top table with you.
Yeah. No, I was excited as well to meet. You know, you're thinking, I must have met Joe at some point, but I couldn't. We hadn't met.
First time we met, but I'd followed your career. I'd watched you fight many times. You know, you bit the rivalry with Carl Froch and the friendship that you have now, because I love that in this sport. I always tell people boxing gives you first and foremost self-respect, and then respect for your opponent, and the respect and the friendship that you have earned in the two battles that you had. You know, incredible fights, warfare at the highest level, worthy of any stage in the world. You know, it just happened to be at home for you both, like in the UK, but it was just brilliant.
Oh, thank you.
Well, George, you obviously won the world title. You were number one in your division, but what you were never labelled is the toughest white guy on the planet. I'm afraid you could. I wasn't
that
distinction.
I wasn't in George's class or league. Like I said, I won several Irish titles, which was a major achievement for me. To win one was an incredible achievement. But when I sparred with Mike that particular day, there was 4 white sparring partners, and he knocked 3 of them out. I was number 4. I got battered from pillar to post, but he never put me down. And at the end of the spar, Mike said, Joe Egan is the toughest white man on the planet. Far, far, far from it. I was the toughest white man in the gym that day. But what a compliment from a man like Mike Tyson. I got battered by Mike Tyson, and I got battered by Lennox Lewis, but I stayed on my feet with the 2 best heavyweights of my era. And I talk about it a lot, but I've earned the right to talk about it. You know, if you're going to get battered, you might as well get battered by the best. I got battered by the best of my era.
That's incredible, Joe. So how can you tell us, or tell the listeners, how that came about? How did you end up in Mike Tyson's gym?
Well, I won 3 titles in the 1 year, under 19 title, a junior title, and the senior title. But between the junior and the senior title, I got picked to go to America on the Irish team. I was only 17. I was a teenage boy, and I went over and I fought a bigger Marine sergeant. He was 28, too strong for me, and he battered me in 3 rounds. I didn't go down. I took the beating. I could take a beating, George. I could take savage beatings. You know, I've took beatings all my life, mostly from the bullies growing up. You know, I got bullied when I came to the UK as a kid visiting my dad, who worked on the building sites like a lot of the Irish. And I got battered by the bullies because I had the Irish accent. So when I picked up the English accent to mix in, when I went home to Dublin, I got battered in Dublin because I had the English accent. And I got 4 younger sisters and 2 younger brothers. So when the bullies had finished beating on me, I used to jump back in and say, don't hit them, hit me more. And I could absorb a punishment like a sponge. In the boxing ring, even if it was Mike Tyson and Lennox Lewis hitting me, it was still only one man. You know, I had a break in between rounds, you had a referee, you had the best medical care in the world. You know, so you had none of them luxuries when you were getting battered by the bullies. So when I went to America to fight this big Marine sergeant, I'd been used to taking beatings, so I took them most of my life. Anyway, my corner men allowed me to fight. They wanted to stop me a couple of times during the fight, the different rounds. And I said, no, I can absorb this punishment. Anyway, after the fight, I lost on points. Floyd Patterson, who was in attendance, one of the great world champions, who was on the cuss. Floyd, Jose Torres, and then Mike Tyson, the 3 champions of the world, of course, he trained a lot of great fighters. Floyd Patterson gave Paul Fitzgerald, the featherweight who won, an opportunity to stay in America. Whatever I did in losing, impressed him. He had an Irish wife, so he took a great interest in the Irish team. And he said, you got a good chin, you got not much skill, but you got a lot of courage. And all fighters are born with courage.
Yeah.
You play football, you play golf, you play tennis, you play basketball, you don't play boxing. You can teach people skills, but you can't teach people courage. They haven't got courage, they play other games. They don't box, or they don't have any combat sports. And I said, yeah, I'd love to stay in America. He gave me the opportunity. I said, yeah, I wouldn't have had the money to come back. I was 17. I remember phoning my mum. I said, Mum, Floyd Patterson has given me the opportunity to stay in America. She said, you'll never come home, son. I said, I'll be home next year, Mum. Anyway, I went to Gleason's gym, sparred a couple of pro heavyweights in the gym. Art Tucker, I can't remember the other heavyweight's name. Al Gavin and Bob Jackson took an interest in me. They said there's a young heavyweight in the Catskills called Mike Tyson. I'd never heard of Mike. I didn't know who he was. He was knocking men out left, right and centre. This 17-year-old phenomenon was just incredible. But I didn't know this. I was just happy to hear 17. I'd left school when I was 14 years of age. I was on the doors of nightclubs at 15. I was big for my age, but I hadn't got that man strength. And I didn't do good in school. I left school with 2 swimming certificates. But I believed I was going to make my fortune out of boxing. So I had no interest in school. Not that I would have been any good anyway. And when I heard 17, I just thought, he'll do for me. Because I'd been so used to fighting men. So when I got to the Catskills, I met Cuss, Camille, Manny, Jay, Tom Patty, the Hilton brothers. The 2 Hilton brothers were there. I think, there was a few champions there, George. It was incredible.
What was the environment like for you?
Beautiful.
Was it intimidating? Were they nice?
No. It was such a warm welcome. And then when I was introduced to Mike, he walked towards me, and I'm looking at him. I thought, he's 17, the same age. As it turns out, he's 6 months younger than me, several months younger than me. He was smaller than me, and he spoke with a bit of a lisp. And I thought, I'm going to batter you. I really believed in my head I had his measure, because I've been so used to fighting men. And he was so welcoming. He was fascinated about Barry McGuigan because of the relationship Mr. Eastwood and Barry McGuigan at the time was like a father-son relationship that him and Cuss had. He was fascinated about Irish boxing, the history of Irish boxing, the legends of Irish boxing. And me and him just hit it off. We walked and talked for hours. We went to the top of the house. He had the whole top of the house, and he had access to the biggest collection of fight footage. Jim Jacob and Bill Caitlin's had the biggest collection of fight footage, and he was watching it on the big screen, and it was just so lovely, the welcome that I had. It was like a home from home. The next morning we ran together, came back to the house, had some food, rested. Then we went to the minibus to go to the gym, and suddenly all these big, powerful men appeared. And they were walking very, very somber. They were walking like men walk into the gallows. But they knew what was coming. Stupid Paddy here didn't know what was coming. I was so relaxed, George. I was so comfortable. I thought, I'm bigger, I'm older, I'm more experienced. I've got his measure. Got to the gym, shadow boxed, bandaged up. Cuss said, right, glove up for sparring. I'm looking around. These big men were scared stiff. But I was so relaxed. Next one, I look into the ring, and Mike's pacing the ring with his shirt off. His body, his physique was incredible. His biceps, his chest, his neck, incredible. I hadn't seen him stripped to the waist. Yeah. And I'm looking, I'm thinking, that's not the same 17-year-old boy I met yesterday. That's not the same 17-year-old boy I ran with this morning. That's not the same 17-year-old boy I sat next to on the minibus getting here. Yeah. Then Cuss pointed to one of the big men to get in. He was knocked spark out. I tell people, I say it all the time, I ruined a good pair of underpants at that moment in time. I shit myself. There's no way a 17-year-old should have that power. He knocked a couple more out. I got in, I got battered for 3 minutes, got out, a couple more, got in, then I was back in again. I'd done 6 minutes with him that day. But the madness in me, George, because I do believe fighters have to have a little bit of madness in them. You know, I really do, and it's not insulting any fighter, but I just believe that there's a bit of madness in us all to fight and to want to fight. Yeah. And I believed in my mind, one day I'll get the better of you. I never did. I stayed on with him for 2 years, and it was probably the makings of me, because I took some serious punishment off that man over 2 years. He made me cry so many times. But psychologically, I believed if I could take Mike Tyson's punishment, I could take anybody's punishment, because He was such a power puncher. He used to speak to my mum on the phone regular. Oh, Mrs. Egan, chatting away, and she'd say to him, "Oh, Mike, thank you so much for looking after my son." But he was minding me as well. Even though he was battering me, he was minding me. I remember one time when Sugar Ray Leonard came to the gym. He came to the gym on 2 occasions while I was there. And Mike wanted to impress Ray Leonard because he was in awe of Sugar Ray Leonard, like a lot of fighters are.
Yeah.
And Mike savagely beat the sparring partners this day. Battered us to pubs. Ray Leonard didn't come to the house for food that day. He left after the gym. But the next time he came, 6 or several months later, I was still there. And I spoke to Ray. He said, "You were here the last time I was here." He said, "You're a very brave young man to come back." I said, "I haven't left, I haven't gone, I'm still here." He said, "You've been taking this punishment all this time." I said, "I'm learning from the man. Hard lessons, but I'm learning." And he came back to the house, and I said to Ray, "Will you speak to my mother?" He said, "Your mother's here?" I said, "No, she's in Ireland, but we're allowed to make the phone calls." And I rang my mum and I said, "Mum, Sugar Ray Leonard's going to say hello to you." And they spoke, and he complimented our son. And she said, "One day you might visit me," and he did. He visited my mum in Dublin, and Mike did. Mike visited my mum in Dublin. And I'll tell you a quick story about hardship. And most fighters come from very humble beginnings. You know, people say fighters come from the guts. I don't like that terminology. I believe we come from humble beginnings and we try to make a better life for ourselves. Well, no more a humble beginning than Mike Tyson had, George. He came to visit my mum this day. He'd been speaking to her on the phone for 22 years and they'd never met. And this day he said, "How's your mother doing, Joe?" I said, "She's not so good, Mike." I said, "She had a lump removed from her neck. I'm concerned it might be cancer." My Uncle Brian had died of cancer, never smoked in his life, 47. He said, "Let's go and see your mother, Joe." So me, Scott Welch, who's your friend.
Yeah.
Scott, ex-former world heavyweight contender.
He's in the club, we've had him on.
Great guy.
Yeah.
And his son Tom is doing good now, unbeaten. And Scott Welch and my fiancée at the time, Ruth, and now my wife, we visited Mike. We went to visit him in Dublin on a housing estate where my auntie was living. A housing estate where my family had actually been evicted from. I'm now going on to this housing estate with one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. It was very emotional because, like I said, my family had been evicted from that housing estate, from a house. But we went to see my mum and they embraced each other. And this is a man that can break bones with punches, embracing a fragile woman. And they just chatted about birthdays. And Mike's birthday is the 30th of June. My mum's was the 12th of July. I lost my mum and dad in 2022. It was a horrible year for me. I said, "I'm not going to cry. I won't cry." And I'm going to cry a lot. But they embraced. And they started talking about birthdays. And they both have the same birth sign, Cancer. And I was with Mike when we were 17. And his first birthday while we were together was his 18th birthday. And he said, "Mrs. Egan," he said, "I remember you sending over presents." He said, "You sent a shoebox with some, it's all on the internet, you can see it on the internet, my mum and Mike." He said, you sent over a shoebox with some potato chips, Irish potato crisps." He said, "Some money in an envelope, would have been very little money. And some sweatshirts, would have been second-hand sweatshirts." And my mum looked at Mike and she said, "You remember that, Mike? That was like 21, 22 years previous." And he said, "Yes, Mrs. Egan." He said, "I remember it," he says, "because very few people have given me anything in my life." Scott Welch and my wife, they got choked up. They had to leave the room. I broke down crying.
Yeah.
And Mike looked at me, excuse the language, he goes, "Joe, motherfucker, you're always crying." He made me cry. So, but I think this man could have been a billionaire athlete, remembering something 22 years previous, so simple and trivial, but it meant the world to him.
So you would have always seen that side of Mike Tyson when so many others wouldn't have acknowledged that, wouldn't have known. You know, he's a different character now, isn't he? Like, he's much more open and almost philosophical, but back in the day he was just
savage.
He was seen as that anyway, wasn't he? You know, at the peak of his powers.
But he was running wild as a child in Brownsville. His introduction into this world was horrific. I lived in Brooklyn. I lived in Bay Ridge for a while after I left the Catskills. And I've been into Brownsville. Shannon Briggs come from Brownsville as well. And there was a lot of crime, a lot of corruption, a lot of violence, a lot of deaths. And this young boy running the streets as a child, 8, 9, 10, trying to fend for himself to make ends meet. It wasn't a nice introduction into the world for that man, you know, and what he's had to endure throughout his life. I said it in my book, we launched my book in Canary Wharf. We brought Canary Wharf to a standstill. Thousands and thousands of people. People queued over a night. Several world champions in attendance. Barry McGuigan and his son Shane came. Steve Collins, Paul Silky-Jones, Alan Minter, Charlie Magri, Brian London. These great champions all in attendance. I know that thousands of people were there for Mike Tyson, but Mike was there for me. And I said it in my book, that even with what he'd achieved in life, I don't envy his introduction into this world. You know, he had such a hard life. And when Cuss died, I said it in the book, when Cuss died, the best of Mike died. We've never saw the best of him, 20 years of age. He hadn't even matured as a man. And
Would you still in the gym with him at that point?
No, I'd left just before Cuss died, when Cuss took sick. Even though I was made to feel like family, I didn't. I felt so sad. And like I said earlier on, I cry so much. And they were all trying to be strong for Cuss. And I'm a quivering wreck. You know, so I left. I could have stayed. I've been back many times. You know, I went to visit Camille. She lived till she was 91, I think. You know, and the house is still there in the Catskills. It's all boarded up now. You know, but I had some wonderful times there. And it was, like I said earlier, it was like the makings of me.
Yeah.
And then the friendship, 41 years on, still standing the test of time.
Yeah.
You know, he's still doing videos from me. We speak on the phone regular, you know, and I try to get to see him as often as I can. I've been in Ireland with him on 4 occasions. Been around the world with him many times. Well, not around the world many times, but many countries in the world. You know, and the welcome that he gets is unbelievable. Yeah. Because at one time they said his name was the most mentioned English word on the planet other than Coca-Cola. He was up there, Coca-Cola and Tyson were the two. I had a dog. I named one of my boxer dogs when I came home from America. I called my dog Tyson. And people used to say to me, that's a stupid name for a dog, Joe. I said there'd be a lot of dogs called Tyson in the future. I wrote to loads of champions. Steve Collins was one of the champions I wrote to. When I was 17 with Mike, I said, I'm training with the future heavyweight champion of the world. I knew then how special he was, because I'd have been hit by men. Yeah. And then for a boy to do this was incredible.
Tell us what sparring was like then. So what are you worried, like, you're preparing for sparring with Mike Tyson. What did he do so well? Like, is there anything that is maybe not obvious?
People don't give him the credit for his speed, George. His speed was phenomenal. His head movement was phenomenal. He would be in on top of you. You might get a jab off. You might be fast enough to get a jab and a right hand off. But he was on you. He was on you. And he was on you with ferocity. Like, Cuss used to say, what he lacks in experience, he uses in aggression. You know, because he was in against very, very experienced. I was more experienced than him. And some of these pro heavyweights were a lot more experienced than him. But he would just have so much ferocity, and every punch he threw was with bad intentions. That's why when he done that exhibition with Roy Jones, I couldn't believe that he pulled these punches, but I was so happy that he did. He hit Roy Jones a body shot, sunk it into him. Roy Jones wilted, a great champion, 4-weight world champion, but Mike knew, and he didn't want to hurt him anymore, and he'd done something that I didn't think he could ever do. He pulled his punches. So like you said early on, he's mellowed. He has mellowed. He's mellowed, and it's lovely to see at this stage of his life. I still believe there's a bit of anger there because of the way he's been treated by a lot of people, powers to be, you know, what they've done to him. I think there's a bit of anger there, but he's controlling the anger. And then when he lost his child, you know, the accident that the child had, he didn't go back onto the drugs heavy. I think he smokes a bit of weed to keep him mellow anyway. But whatever keeps him mellow and he's happy, I'm happy for him.
Yeah. So all of this takes place, you're still an amateur at this point?
Yeah.
An amateur boxer.
That's why I had the problems with the Irish Amateur Boxing Association, because the 84 Olympics, they were saying I was too young. Except that. I got battered by the Englishman who went and got the bronze, Bobby Wells. He caned me. But he was ABA champion, and all I've ever been is tough. I've no real skill. You know, I wasn't a skillful fighter. I wasn't like you, George. You were skillful and beautiful to watch boxing. I was just tough, and I'd walk forward and I could take a beating. And a lot of guys that I beat, they were better than me. I beat them because I just happened to be tougher than them on the day. And I've always claimed to be tough, but I was never very skillful, you know. And when they said I was too young for the 84 Olympics, I accepted that. So I'm back in America then, 85, I'm training with the pros. The 88 Olympics, I boxed him well. I got the bronze in the Acropolis Games. Did you box in the Acropolis Games?
I don't think I did.
No, it's a pre-Olympic. It's a pre-Olympic tournament. They hold them in Greece. Hold them in Greece. There's like 20 countries compete. It's just a prestigious ceremony because boxing was the first sport of the Olympics. And I boxed in the '87 Acropolis Games. I won a bronze medal. I beat a European silver medalist, Gregor Skurges from Poland. I beat, not in that tournament, but in other tournaments and internationals. I beat Selden. Ireland versus America, Bruce Selden, the number one who went on to win the World Heavyweight title. So in '88, I was boxing well. The IABA didn't pick me for the '88 Olympics because they said I was training with the pros. I was getting paid to spar. Yeah, I was. I was getting paid to spar. But they shouldn't have held that against me for the Olympics. Now look what's happening with the amateurs. They're all getting paid.
Yeah.
You know, but at the time they didn't pick me, so I had a fallout with the IABA. And I said to my dad, I said, I'm finished with boxing. He said, no, son. He said, see how you go in 1989. You know, don't call it a day in '88. I didn't want to go pro, George. I didn't want to fight 6, 8, 10, 12 rounds. It was hard enough getting hit 3 rounds, you know. But I was enjoying the boxing. I was enjoying the fights. I was enjoying the camaraderie of the gym. But what they did to me upset me. So I said to my dad, let me think about it. Anyway, I carried on in '89. I won another Irish title. I had another argument with the president of the IABA over the 1988 Olympics because I believed, I'm not saying I could have got a medal. You get a bit of luck, you need to look at a draw. You know, maybe I could have got a bronze like I got in the Acropolis Games. You don't know.
Yeah.
And I had my words, had my say, and I didn't like the way they treated me. So in the final, the 1989 final, I lost my temper a little bit and I threw the medal at the president of the IABA and called him a few names. And I just thought, I'm going to go pro now. I'll have my say. Anyway, there was one international. The guy that I actually beat in the finals that year, a guy called Sean O'Regan, he went to America and I didn't go. He beat a couple of Americans, but he got his jaw damaged in the fights in America and he won. But when they came back, there was an international against Wales. So they said, look, will you fight against Wales? My last amateur fight, actually, for Ireland. My last amateur fight. So I said to my dad, I don't want to fight that. I said, I'm going pro. He said, no, fight for your country. Have another vest.
Yeah.
So I boxed against Wales. I stopped the Welshman in the first round, Hank Hart. Wasn't a particularly nice way to win. It was just a bit of savagery because I wanted to finish on a high. And I stopped him in the first round. I think he was an ABA finalist. And it was a great win for me. And then I went pro. And like I said, I never wanted to go pro. But it was to carry on in the sport that I love, to carry on fighting, carry on boxing. I went pro. I went pro with Mr. Eastwood.
Funny how times change.
Yeah, it's funny.
Move on.
It's funny, yeah.
So when you turned pro and you had your debut, were you all in then? Or were you back of your head thinking, this is not exactly what I wanted to do?
I never enjoyed the running. I didn't enjoy the running.
I know the feeling.
My dad used to call me for the runs in the mornings. He'd say, come on, drag yourself out of bed. It's like dragging yourself off the deck. I said, Dad, no one's going to put me down. I said, my chin's granite and my legs are strong. And I remember in the Acropolis Games, semi-finals, I'd won 2 fights. And I'm in the semi-finals, my eye's damaged. I'm in against the Greek Georgios Stephanopoulos. And I didn't see the punch coming, George. Didn't see it. Second round, he caught me. And I'm lying on my back. I'm flat on my back. I'm gone. I'm out. I'm in bed and I'm pulling the bed sheets over me. I'm lying on my back. So from the time he hit me on the chin to the time I fell to the time I rolled onto my side with this left eye closed, I saw the referee go 5. And I'm looking, I thought, I'm on the deck here. I didn't feel a thing. I'd had some hard punches in my life that I felt from my nose to my toes, but that one, the one that knocked me out, I didn't feel it. I climbed to my feet. My cornermen, Mickey Hawkins and Jerry Hannah, thought I was calling them into the ring. I wasn't. I was looking for my bed sheets. I know, it's funny. It's a funny feeling. So when I got to my feet, I fell into my trainer's arms. I got beat on my feet. He won the eventual. I lost to the eventual gold medalist. He beat the Dutchman in the final. But when I rang my dad, I said, Dad, it was exactly like you described. Dragging myself off the deck was like dragging myself out of bed in the cold winter's mornings to go running.
Yeah.
he must have been decked at some stage of his life, in every boy's eyes his dad's the toughest man on the planet. So I could never have seen him in my mind being decked, but he must have been to experience what he told me. And I said, it was exactly like you said. So when I went pro, I had to run a little bit further. I used to just do the 3 miles when I was an amateur, a mile for a round. So now I'm having to run 6 miles because I'm doing a 6-round fight in my mind. So I'm running with Richie Wenton, Nigel Wenton, Steve Collins, who I fought twice, Sam Story. I'm up in Belfast. I'm having a great time. I'm in probably at the time one of Europe's best camps. There's great champions in there. And Mr. Eastwood was very, very kind to me. He gave me good money, gave me nice lodgings, got a nice car. So I'm living the life. Yeah. And it was fun. But I was still working 3 jobs. People don't understand the luxury of having a sponsor and the luxury of having a training camp. I was working Friday night in Dublin on the door, Saturday night in Dublin on the door, Saturday and Sunday in the airport. I was working the door in a pub, I was working the door in a nightclub, and I was working in the airport at the time for Delta Airlines. And then travelling up to Belfast sort of Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, train up in Belfast, come back on a Friday afternoon, work. So really any potential that I had, it never really got brought out because I couldn't focus totally on boxing because I was working to subsidise, the boxing. But I was enjoying the boxing. And then when I got my first paycheck for my first pro fight, I got a decent sign-on fee. Mr. Eastwood gave me a decent sign-on fee. But I gave that to my brothers and sisters, But my fight purse, a lot of the Irish, when they go abroad to work, they send the money home to help the family. When I was in America working with Mike, sparring with Mike, I used to ship the money home. Me and Mike would go into Manhattan. I go to the Bank of Ireland, 50th and 5th once a month, $15 it used to cost to ship the money home. One sister went to America. She ended up marrying a policeman in New York. She's still out there now, nearly 40 years later. He's retired from the New York place. My other brother bought a milk float. He's got 4 milk floats now. My other sister went through university, became a chartered accountant. So I help my brothers and sisters. So when I signed on pro, I give the money to my family, my signing on fee. But my first professional wage check, I said to my dad, Dad, what, do you want it? He said, no, son. He said, you've given your signing on fee to your brothers and sisters. You keep that. And I bought a sofa. I bought a 3-2-1 jade green sofa. I bought a Philips TV and video camera, a television and a video DVD, VHS video recorder. And I bought a Waterford Crystal, big, because I love Waterford Crystal. And I bought a Waterford Crystal lamp. I still have the Waterford Crystal lamp.
You still have it now?
Still have it 34 years on. 34 years on. Beautiful lamp. 2-piece lamp. The television stand, my sister Anne still has that. The TV doesn't work anymore. The video's gone. But she still has the lovely cabinet. My sister Anne has that. And the jade green sofa, we only threw that out. My dad had that for years. We only threw that out a few years ago.
Was that your setup for your watching, going back with Tyson, watching the movies, the old fights? So you got the green sofa.
Jade green, I never forget it, 3-2-1, and the one was a recliner, I think on the side. And I just spent my wages, my fight wages on that.
So you had your second pro fight?
I had my second pro fight, yeah. I won the first one against, I shouldn't have fought. I fought a guy called John Williams, who was coming up. No, I beat him on points. I was never a big puncher.
Six round points.
6 rounds, yeah. I got decked in the 6 rounds. I was very tired. I only went down for a second. He caught a shot that I was knackered. And he caught me, just a quick flash knockdown, but it's because I was tired, and he was after coming off 2 knockout wins. He was after knocking out 2 of my pals. He knocked out Jerry Story, whose brother Sam was the first British super middleweight champion, and he knocked out John McBean. So he was coming off 2 knockout wins. I should never have been boxing him. I was matched with Chris Coughlin and Doug McKay, 2 journeyman fighters. That would have been a nice, easy learning experience for me, introduction into the pros. Suddenly I'm in against a man that's coming off 2 knockout wins. Paddy Byrne, the matchmaker, his sister Cynthia was married to my mum's brother. So of all fighters that should have been getting an easy introduction, should have been me.
Should have been sorting you out.
Should have been sorting me well out, But instead I'm getting a hard fight. And you can see it on television afterwards when it's recorded. John Williams was Herbie Hyde's sparring partner, right? A tough, dangerous man. And then Round 5, he's gone back to his corner. He's only warming up. He's a 10-round fighter. Yeah. I'm shattered in my corner. He's gone back to his corner, telling Tony Baker, who worked for Mr. Eastwood, and Paddy Byrne, who's his sister's my auntie, I'm going to punish him now. I'm going to hurt him now. He's tired. Because he knew.
Yeah.
I'm going back to my corner after 5 rounds. I'm shattered. Yeah. He's seeing me. I thought, I've got you now. And he come out for round 6, and he did hurt me. But I held on. Like I'd learned to hold on against Mike, like I'd learned to hold on against Lennox Lewis. I held on. You wouldn't have got me off John Williams with a crowbar. Yeah. I was holding on that tight, you know. But I went on to win the fight on points. It was a good fight. But it was a hard fight for my first pro fight. And then my second pro fight, I'm in against the Gladiator Raider. Big powerhouse from man, modelled himself off Ken Norton. I'm boxing in the King's Hall on a world title bill. I'm fighting on Dave Boy McCauley's bill. He's fighting Lewis Curtis, the American. And they said, it's taped, time delay. If Dave Boy stops Lewis, they might show some of the undercard on American television. So I've got this in my mind. I said, if they're going to show any of the undercard, they're going to show the heavyweights.
Yeah.
Because the Americans love the heavyweights. Oh, everyone loves heavyweights. Yeah. But the Americans in particular love the heavyweights, right? So I'm thinking to myself, if I win in style, I might get shown on television in America. Just a madness in me, George.
No, right? That's true though, yeah.
Right? So instead of going in and being a little bit cautious against a big, powerful puncher, I go gung-ho. Right? Madness in me, right? I go gung-ho and I get stuck in. And it was a bloodbath of a fight. It was a bloodbath. I won the fight.
Yeah.
I got 64 stitches after the fight. I got cut
64 stitches, yeah.
Internal stitches and everything. Wow. I got cut across the top of the eye, down the side of the eye, across the cheek, across the lip here, and across this eye. But the funny thing about it, Paddy Byrne, who'd been in my opponent's corner in my first pro fight, who was an incredible cuts man, he jumps up onto the ring apron. Mr. Eastwood wouldn't have been able to stop the cuts. I got on video, you can see it on television, Mr. Eastwood's hands were shaking. He probably made the cuts worse. You know? He was shaking like that, you know. And
what'd you buy with your wages?
Medical kit, I think. Yeah. No, I don't. I can't remember. I can't remember.
Kit. Another lamp.
But listen to this. This is funny. This is right because Paddy Burns pushed Mr. Eastwood to the side, and he was able to close the cuts, so the blood wasn't running into my eye. The cheekbone was running down here. Yeah. The lip one was running down here, so it wasn't affected my vision. And the referee at the time was one of Mr. Eastwood's referees. He was a good referee, but he was for the Eastwood camp. He'd worked all through the McGuigan era and that. And good referee. He let me carry on. I could see. And I went on to win the fight on points. But after the fight, they want me to go to hospital because I'm badly cut, internal stitches and all. They patched me up. The doctor did what he possibly could. But he said, you've got to go straight to hospital. I said, I can't. I said, I've got a ringside seat with my dad to watch Dave Boy McCauley. Yeah. You know. They said, no, you've got to go. I said, no, please. I go after the world title fight, right? So when we were kids, we watched the Belfast fans with the here we go, here we go, here we go. And Dad used to say, the fanatical fans, the Belfast fans, which they are. Yeah. So I've come down, my face all patched up with butterfly stitches and tape and everything, and my dad was standing. We had 2 ringside seats. Mr. East would give us 2 ringside seats, so me and my dad are ringside, and my dad was standing on the chair with his arms up in the air. Here we go, here we go. And I'm looking at him like this. He said, the atmosphere, son, is electric. Did you ever find the King's Hall?
Yeah, Belfast? I had a amateur and pro, I think.
Incredible atmosphere.
Martin Lindsay.
Incredible atmosphere.
Martin Lindsay, yeah.
Martin Lindsay against... He was a Scottish lad. It was a good fight.
It was incredible. And the boxing is on the card, which is beautiful. That was the first world title fight I'd ever been at. Wow. I'd never been to one before, and suddenly I'm boxing on the undercard.
Are you dreaming big now as a professional boxer? Do you think you're going to make it? Like, do you think this is my calling? Or
no, because I knew my dad had big ambitions for me, but like all dads, you know. But I knew my limitations. I couldn't do 8, 10, 12 rounds getting hit by them big bombs. I could do 3 as an amateur and maybe 6 at a push if I was lucky. But I knew my own limitations. But I still dreamed the dream.
Yeah.
You know, in your mind, you dream the dream. You know?
What was the best thing? What was your favourite part of boxing at that point?
The money at that stage, you know, because I'd been handed a lot of trophies, and suddenly you're getting handed thousands of pounds. You buy a lot of trophies with thousands of pounds.
Yeah.
You know, and then I thought maybe I could win an Irish professional title. Paddy Finn from my old amateur club had been the Irish amateur and professional champion, and I thought maybe I could win an Irish professional title. And at that stage, then I was matched with Kevin McBride for the Irish professional title. I've never started a row in my life. I've been security all my life. Like I stood on doors when I was 15. I've done static guard, store detective, bodyguard, doorman. I've done every type of security, and I've stopped a lot of rows. But now I'm matched with Kevin McBride for the Irish professional title. We're both unbeaten. Kevin had boxed in the Olympics, and I thought, yeah. So I said to Mr. Eastwood and to Tony Baker, how much am I going to get for the Irish professional title? Because that's what I was interested in, the money. How much am I going to get? So they told me a lot of thousands. It's going to be on Irish television, 2 Irishmen, both unbeaten. He was with Frank Warren at the time. So I'm running all that week, spending the money in my mind, spending it. I'm getting thousands of pounds. I'm going to win the Irish title because I really believed after beating of Kevin. I'm a bit more experienced than him, a bit older than him. The following week I go into the gym. Tony Baker said, Kevin McBride's pulled out of the fight. He's left Frank Warren. Headlines in the newspaper. Kevin leaves Frank Warren because he feels he's been pushed into a fight with Joe Egan too early in his career. So I said, what's going on here? They said he's gone to Frank Maloney. They said, we're going to get you an Irish American or an Englishman with Irish descent, Irish heritage. I said, but how much would I get for that? Not as much, because the television won't show it in Ireland. 2 Irishmen you get on Irish television. So I thought, no, I've spent the money already. Right? I spent the money. So I said, no, I'll sort this. So I rang Panics Promotions. Ed Robinson answered the phone. Panics Promotions. I said, hello, Ed. It's Joe Egan. Hello, Joe. He said, I said, can I speak to Frank Maloney? He said, Frank's not taking any calls today. I said, well, Ed, you just told me he's there. Have the decency to put the man onto the phone to me. I'm a boxer and I want to speak to a boxing manager. Put him on, please. He said, Frank, you got to come to the phone. Joe Egan wants you. Come on to the phone. Fair play. He said, Joe, what do you want? I said, I want to fight Kevin McBride. He said, Joe, we're not going down the Irish title route, we're going down the European title route. I said, no, don't disrespect the Irish title, Frank. You're an Irishman. If he thinks he can beat me, match him with me. If he beats me, then he wants the European title. If he doesn't beat me, then maybe I'll get a European title. So who knows? Yeah. No, Joe, I'm a busy man. He said, if I get you on one of my undercards. I said, I can fight on Mr. Eastwood's undercards. I'm not going to get these tens of thousands. I want this money. Joe, I'm hanging up now. He hung up the phone to me. I was fuming. And now I'm thinking to myself, like, what am I going to do? So I ring Pam, the secretary of the IABA. I said, Pam, can you give me Kevin's McBride's phone number? We had no mobiles. There wasn't mobiles at the time. There might have been, but only the rich people had them. Right? So she gives me Kevin McBride's number. So I ring him. He lives in Clone, the same place as Barry McGuigan. So I answered the phone, Kevin McBride. I said, Kevin, it's Joe Egan. No. I said, Kevin, it's Joe Egan. Oh, Joe, how you doing? I said, how am I doing? I said, you gutless wonder. I said, you make me ashamed to be an Irishman. We're fighting men, that's all we're known for. And you're not going to fight me for the Irish title. Joe, don't be talking like that, he said. Frank Maloney's got different plans for me. Don't mind Frank Maloney and his different plans. You fight me for the Irish professional title. We've been Irish amateur champions, now fight each other. Joe, I'm going to hang up. You're not going to hang up on me. I called him a few names. I said, I'm hanging up on you, you gutless wonder. Hung up the phone. I thought to myself, right, he'll call it on now with his manager. Match me with Joe Egan. But then I was involved in a bad car accident and my career was finished. Over, done, dusted. And I never got to fight Kevin McBride for the Irish title. So I piled the weight on. I'm at an event years later, and who do I see at the event? Only Kevin McBride. All 6'6" of him. Powerhouse of a man. I thought, I don't want to fight him for nothing. I could afford him years before for a lot of thousands, but I'm too proud to walk out. So I walk over to him and I put my hand out. I said, Kevin, it's Joe Egan. And he looked me up and down because I put the weight on since the man had last saw me. He said, you've put a bit of weight on. I said, yeah, I'm retired now, Kevin. I said, and had a car accident. I said, that phone call that I made all them years ago. Which phone call? I said, the one where I called you. I don't mind that. And he gave me a big hug. And it was a nice embrace, you know.
He remembered that phone call.
He remembered the phone call.
What phone call?
Yeah, he remembered the phone call. But he gave me a nice embrace. And it was lovely, you know. And I went out to America when I was with Mike, when he beat Mike. I know it wasn't the Mike Tyson of old. It was a shell of the man. But Kevin McBride still got Mike Tyson's name on his record as a victory over Mike, and Danny Williams the same name over a victory over Mike. But I went out to Washington DC. I was with Mike, and I saw Kevin beat him, and it was sad to see, actually. Even though I was happy for the Irishman, my friend, I was sad for my other friend to lose like that, you know. But he owed a lot of money. He was in debt to management. He was in debt to the taxman. And he had to fight, and have to as a horrible master. You know, I'm talking about fighting again, but I don't have to fight. I want to fight. And that's the big difference.
It's a big difference.
Well, let's hold it there, because I have a break there, and then we're going to bring it right up to date with that fight that you're talking about. Okay. So let's have a quick breather there.
I'm George Groves. He's Dec. And if you haven't heard, the George Groves Boxing Club is going live, and tickets are on sale right now.
Nice. Our first ever live event, George. Are we going to start off in a nice low-key venue?
Absolutely not. No. We are taking on the world-famous Shepherd's Bush Empire, and it is Froch Groves free. It is 10 years, Dec, since mine and Froch's fight at Wembley Stadium. So I've gone and got Mr. Froch to come down, all the way down to the Shepherd's Bush Empire, and we're going to tussle it out again in podcast form.
Nice. You could get the bus there again. Should we brainstorm a few other ideas?
It's going to be the feature, and it will be the best feature we've ever done.
Maybe you and Carl could have a duel.
We'll be crowdsourcing.
For the most
Mike
part.
Skinner's coming. He's crowd surfing. 50 Cent's going to buy the first 3 rows anyway.
I don't think we could promise this.
Froch Groves free, a decade in the making. Tickets are on sale now. Listen to the George Groves Boxing Club podcast for all the details. Right, we're back.
We're back.
Off the break, and I've got a feature.
Okay.
Dec, right. So, it's Joe Egan. And what is he? He's the toughest white man on the planet.
Yeah, officially.
That's the name of the feature today.
Okay.
Cue jingle. Toughest white man. So, I've got here a list, Joe. So let me just explain, Joe. Each week we have a feature, and the feature is generally a quiz.
It's always a quiz.
So I've written a quiz today for you and Dec. It's you beat Dec.
Yeah.
Are you up for this quiz?
Is it boxing knowledge? Because he's going to annihilate me.
Are we on telly now?
Yeah.
It's not live.
No. I could tell you when I've done celebrity eggheads. I'm not for quizzes. Yeah, they give me the. I'll tell you when we're recording.
So you're good. You're good. No, we're going. Okay, oh, you're not good. So I might win.
Listen to this.
Go on.
Right. They asked me to do celebrity eggheads. Me, Willie Thorne, Peter Shilton, Jeff Capes, and Paul Dixon, the cricket player. So I thought, well, if I get TV and film or sport, I'll be okay.
Yeah.
They give me food and drink. Now, I don't drink alcohol. I'm an Irishman that doesn't drink alcohol. People say, what sort of an Irishman are you? So my dad says I'm a failure as an Irishman. But I thought, I'm no food, because you know, by looking at the size of me, I like my food. So the first question they asked me, I'm in against the mastermind champion of Brain of Britain. And I guess the middle, hadn't got a clue, Joe. But it was right. I was so happy to get one question right. Mastermind champion gets his question right. Second question, middle again. It's right again. 2. Mastermind champion gets question right. They asked me the third question, where's the avocado from? I said, the avocado's a pear. I said, my dad used to give me them to eat when I was boxing. I said, you used to make yogurt. I said, full of whatever it's full of. But I don't know where it's from. Give me the clues. The Americas. No, it was Australasia, the Americas, or Europe. So I thought, I can't be the middle again. So I went to Australasia, and it was the middle, the Americas. So I got 2 right out of 3. Yeah, no, yeah. But the
it's not an avocado quiz, is it?
The mastermind champion got his question right. So they said, wow. They said, Joe, you pushed the mastermind champion to the wire. So afterwards, up in the green room, in front of the celebrities, I phoned my dad. I said, Dad, I got 2 questions right out of 3. He said, well done, son, that's great. I said, Dad, they said I pushed the mastermind champion to the wire. He said, son, it doesn't say much for the mastermind champion now. If you pushed him to the wire. I thought, thanks, Dad.
Right, so he's on a losing streak in the quiz world.
Right,
yes.
Well,
I'm very much on a win streak.
I'm 0-1. I'm 0-1.
Yeah.
I'm 0-1. Is that right?
Yeah,
0-1. Yeah, well, you're not in with a mastermind today, so you should be all right.
I do know where avocados come from, though. I thought it was going to be a tree. I thought that was the answer. Anyway, what's the premise of the quiz?
Right,
George has written this completely himself.
Yeah, I've come up with this quiz. So
we
got the toughest white man on the planet, right? Yeah. So I figured.
And Joe Egan.
Here's a list.
Yes. Well done. Go on.
Right, here's a list, right, of some other things that share the toughest, right, on the planet, Joe. Right. So I have a little quiz here for you both, right? Mm-hmm. So you're our guest today. Do you want to go first or second?
I'll go first.
I knew he was going to go first.
Right. Okay. Right. So the mountain goat is tough, right?
Yes.
Famously
it
so.
survives at extreme altitude over 13,000 feet and snacks only on alpine vegetation, right?
Yes.
But, right, very different from Boxrec's list of goats, right? So, which has Sugar Ray Robinson at number 1. But where do you think Muhammad Ali is placed?
Ooh. Well, I went to his house in Michigan. Al Capone used to own his house, and I went through the gates, and up in the gates is GOAT, greatest of all time. So I would have had him at number 1 in my eyes.
Yeah.
So if they haven't got him as number 1, it has to be 2 or 3.
He's number 10.
Fuck off.
I know, yeah.
On Boxrec.
No.
Boxrec.
Piss off.
No chance.
Sorry,
no
Boxrec,
chance.
not having that.
No.
That's a nil and void.
Yeah, but that's
we'll
still-
give you that point anyway.
Sorry,
Yeah,
you don't get a point for that.
Anyway,
anyway.
listen.
Who's the ones in between?
There was Armstrong, Henry Armstrong. There was a
Joe Lewis.
I think there's quite a few in
Forget
there.
that.
But
Boxrec sorted it out.
Yeah, sort it out.
Also, but I love
And you know
Boxrec.
something? We never saw the best of Muhammad Ali because he was banned in 3 years.
That was the best years.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Maybe it would have been 2 otherwise, or 1.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's my question?
Right.
Can I take a lead here?
The Arctic fox
Loves avocados.
lives right on the frozen tundra of the northern hemisphere, right?
Yeah. I knew that bit.
His environment where temperatures drop below 58 degrees below zero, right? But what was the temperature outside in Quebec when Callum Smith fought Arthur Beterbiev?
Minus 24.
I don't know. I put minus 11, so that's wrong.
Don't even know. I was in Quebec for Billy Joe Saunders against David Lemieux.
What month?
Snow was up here. It was December fight. Amazing place.
Temperature?
Minus 11.
Yes, you should have said it.
Okay, well,
Right.
we're 0-0. How many questions are there here?
15.
Oh my god. Guys,
Number 3,
more.
the Bactrian camel.
It's me.
Yeah, it's you, Joe.
Camel question.
Right, camel, right?
Okay.
It lives in extreme heat in the Gobi Desert, right? These deserts get temperatures over 100 degrees in the summertime.
Ooh.
These camels are famous for having 2 humps, right? But I want to know who's Adrian Broner facing when both fighters humped each other
Oh my god, I know.
in their provocative, unsportsmanlike manner.
There were 2 humps in that fight.
So there was a fight and they sort of humped each other a bit.
Remember that one?
Mosley, was it?
I got it. I know it.
Was it
I'll
Shane
pass-
Mosley?
I'll pass it.
Marcos Maidana.
Yeah, it was. It was Maidana.
Marcus Maidana fought Amir Khan
Yeah,
twice.
amazing
Yeah.
fight. No, once he boxed
No,
Mayweather
Mayweather twice.
Yeah,
Fought
that
Mayweather
Khan
twice.
fight. Oh,
Incredible.
amazing. Go on.
Right, Dick, right. Crocodiles are tough, right?
They are. Yeah, I can't.
They
dispute
can
that.
survive without eating for 3 years, believe it or not. Right?
No
Yeah.
way.
A very slow metabolism.
3 years. That's a bad crocodile.
For 3 hours.
Yeah, you can't get a bit.
'cause they
you know.
like to float about and
Yeah,
save energy,
Eating
right?
everyone. Yeah.
Anyways,
What
they've
I
also-
want to know
no,
is
wait, so they've also got a lot of teeth, right? But I want to know who lost their teeth in a sub-midweight
I
battle
know,
against
I know.
Badu Jag.
James DeGale. Any
Sorry,
opportunity.
James.
Yeah, James DeGale lost his teeth. Joe, actually, he didn't. It was only a bridge of his teeth. He got his teeth knocked out in sparring, apparently by Avni Yildirim in the camp before.
You're not getting bonus points.
So he had. Anyway,
Right,
number 3.
5. Number
This
5.
is
Right,
number 3 for Joe. Let's go
Number
one
3
more,
for Joe.
one more each. You got to
We
put
got
it back
loads.
here, Joe.
I haven't
We got
got
loads.
any- I haven't
No,
got
they
any
get
right
better.
yet.
They get better, right?
You got loads. We ain't got loads.
You
of
get
time.
this one. You get this one, right?
Ask me only brothers.
The honey badger. The honey badger's tough, right?
Right,
It's only
yeah.
3 foot long and weighs like 13 to 30 pounds. But if provoked, it can fight off lions and leopards, right? But,
What do you want to know?
right, my question is, who is the ragamuffin man, right, who held the undisputed...
Lloyd Honeyghan.
Yes, there we go.
Honey badger.
Beat Don
Honeyghan.
Curry for the title.
Yeah.
Yes.
And when Harry Carpenter was commentating, incredible, because Don the Cobra Curry, an incredible fighter. I watched him fight the Welshman Colin Jones. Right, Colin Jones was an incredible fighter.
He was a good
He beat
fighter, yeah.
Kirkland Lang in the 9th round twice.
Yeah.
You know, that was it was an incredible win for Lloyd Honeyghan.
Yeah.
You know, and he had some great defences then. I think he lost it to Marlon Starling. I think he might have lost the title too. But Lloyd Honeyghan.
That's an amazing win.
An amazing win.
Yeah.
Don the Cobra Curry was one of the most, I think it was from Fort Worth in Texas, one of the most powerful, vicious punches. And
Hit me.
A Jaguar.
Let's go last one.
No, I've got two more.
No, but two more.
Three more.
Come on.
Right.
We're out of time.
A Jaguar.
Yeah.
I had to write these. You know what I mean? I
Give me
can't
the
wait
Jaguar.
to write a
Come on.
Jaguar. Right? Because the last two are really good. A Jaguar, right, is not the biggest cat in the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it is a tough one. After capturing and killing a 500-pound deer, it can drag it to the top of a tree to eat it on its favourite branch, right? But which heavyweight boxer had a sponsorship deal with Land Rover Jaguar in 2019? Endorsements saw him top of the tree. Yeah, it was. It was Joshua. Yeah, they also had JD Sports, AP, Boss, just name a few, right?
Links.
The Black Mamba.
Last one.
The Black Mamba, Joe, right? It's one of the toughest animals on the planet with the most deadliest venom. But which former fighter went by the nickname Black Mamba?
I know it.
Finished with a record of 59-13. He's probably most famous now as a trainer out of a Las Vegas gym.
Is it Mayweather?
Yeah. Joe, which one?
Would it be Roger?
Yes.
Very good.
Do you want the last one?
Yeah, go on, hit me.
It's the gorilla.
Yeah.
Right.
I already know the answer.
Right. No, you know, right. The gorilla, 20 times stronger than a human. With 98%
Never sparred Joe Egan, though.
Oh, it hasn't. No. Right. Obviously, we've had our own gorilla on here.
We have, John.
ECM, hat-trick appearance, John Ryder. £168 compared to, you know, the £448 real gorilla.
Mm-hmm.
How tall is John Ryder?
I should know this because I just did that feature. I'm going to say he's 5'9.5".
Nah, he's 5'8".
Oh, so close.
Yep.
I think that's a draw. No,
that's
let's
a draw. Yeah,
Draw, was it?
Yeah, I reckon that's a good performance.
I'm happy with that.
Now let's just talk about Joe, because you might just be back in the ring. What's the crack here then with John Fury? Now has this got leg? Is this something that's actually
has to happen?
You want? Yeah. Where are we?
Has to happen. There's John Fury, who's not conducting himself very well. His son, one of the greatest heavyweights, I believe. You know, he's up there with the best of them, and could survive in any era of boxing because of his boxing prowess, his boxing brain, his engine for a heavyweight is incredible. I know he's not in the greatest of eras of heavyweights, but he's in there with some power punching heavyweights. Wilder could concuss anybody with a punch, and the way Tyson got decked and got up, the chin, the heart, the engine is incredible, and I believe he could survive in any era. But what he's come through with his mental health and everything else has made him even more special. But then the conduct of his dad has taken the shine off him. His dad has thrown tables up in the air at young YouTubers. A fan base that's just coming into boxing. The conduct of John Fury isn't nice. He's bringing the sport into the gutter as far as I'm concerned. And I like John. I've always got on with John. But when he stood up there and he challenged Mike Tyson, I thought, I've got to admire him. He's a fighting man. You know, comes from good fighting stock. Travelling community. My mum's people are travelling people, so I understand the history of the fighting with the travelling community. But then when Mike laughed him off, Mike brushed him off as a comical joke, you know, in a nice way. John suddenly challenged any 58-year-old on the planet brave enough to fight me. So I thought to myself, I'll have a bit of that. He said something to somebody that I didn't like what he said. I'm not going to say it on air. I want to confront him when we do box or we have a press conference, because he said something about me that wasn't particularly very nice. But if he's trying to steal his son's limelight, of course he's going to try and steal any limelight that I'm going to get, because he likes to be centre stage. And I think he conducts himself like a bully, because these young YouTubers, even some of their dads have confronted him. It's on television, you can watch him on the internet. Why are you doing this to these young children? And he fronted the dads. And I just thought, I don't like that conduct. He's not conducting himself as an ex-boxer the way he should conduct himself. He's not conducting himself as the heavyweight champion of the world's dad the way he should conduct himself. So I've stepped up to the mark, as I've done as a fighting man. I'm 58, I want to challenge, yeah, of course. And I'd like him to accept that he threw down the gauntlet first, and I've accepted the challenge. His first response was quite thuggish. Any man come near me and I'll rip that face off. And I thought, well, when you threw down the challenge to Mike Tyson, Mike Tyson didn't react with a comment like that. He just smiled. So why should you react with a comment like that when a man steps up to your challenge, to a boxing fight? Why bring it to when I'm going to rip your face off? Then he's calling me a dem, then he's calling me a day. I've earned the right to be called by my own name. I'm a boxer that's climbed into the ring like he has. Neither of us were any good. Facts. We were both average fighters. We were both tough men. He would have worked on a building site all day and gone out to box on the night. I worked 3 jobs and went out and boxed. So we were never really any good. We were just 2 tough men. And I've stepped up to the mark. Now he's acknowledged my name, Joe Egan. And the first thing he said, right, Joe, you've insulted me now. Coat's off. And I thought, I'm not asking you for a street fight. I've had loads of them in my life. There's no money in a street fight. If I'm going to fight, I want it to be in a boxing ring. Like he's challenged any 58-year-old man on the planet, brave enough to fight him. He wants to take his coat off on the street. And I thought, well, if you're macho enough to take your coat off on the street to want to fight me, put the boxing gloves on. And let's have the boxing match. So now he said that he wants the contracts drawn up. Misfits Boxing, they want to put it on. They want to back me. I'm hoping to get the contracts drawn up. I cannot believe the response around the world. And I mean around the world. It's incredible. You know, I'm not just talking about Birmingham where I live, or the UK, or Europe. There's messages from all around the world. People are, it's incredible the way it's gone. But these YouTubers are worldwide. You know, and he's upset a lot of them.
So, Joe, we ask each and every one of our guests to give us a Ringwalk track.
The thing is, right, getting back to John Fury again, right? 2 donkeys make a good race. Like I said, neither of us are any good. We're not going to be dancing around the ring. And I do believe my chin is better than his. I've been hit by 3 heavyweight champions of the world and I wasn't knocked out. He was hit by 1 and knocked out. And I want to fight him.
Yeah.
No disrespect to the man. When we sit at a press conference, I've got a couple of things I want to say to him. I want to look him in the eye and ask him, is this what was said? Do you understand?
Yeah.
But it'll be a good fight while it lasts. The best man will win on the night. I hope it's me. I do believe it's me, but he will believe it's him as well. I've lost the 2 southpaws. He's the 3rd southpaw, 3rd time lucky. You know. But you're saying about the music.
Yeah, what's your song?
Yeah, what's your Ringwalk track?
We've got a playlist on Spotify. Everyone who comes in gives us a track.
I used to come in to Irish music when I was fighting originally. If the fight comes off with John Fury, I suppose it'll be the Elton John song, I'm Still Standing. Because I tell you the reason why. I've been shot twice and I was still standing. I've been hit by every type of weapon you can name, a crowbar to a scaffolding pole to a baseball bat. Over the years of getting bullied, I'm still here. I'm still standing. And hopefully at the final bell in the John Fury fight, I'll be still standing. Because that's what we want to do, is hear that final bell. Stand up and fight like hell. Stand up and fight until you hear that final bell.
Yeah. Incredible.
We haven't got any Elton John yet as well. That's the Elton debut on the playlist.
On the playlist.
I'm still standing.
Beautiful.
Awesome, mate. Thank you so much for coming in today.
George,
sharing great stories with us. And you're in the club, man.
Yeah, you're in the club.
Thank you, George.
Big Joe Egan, thank you very much.
It's been great.